On a normal day, more than 200,000 people pass through the gates of Hong Kong International Airport. But for a second day in a row, flights have been disrupted as anti-Beijing protesters occupy the Asian aviation hub.
We have tried many ways in these 2 months. People strike, we starve ourselves, and we go onto the streets. We have large-scale protests, but nothing worked out because the government just ignore us.
Beijing says the mass rallies are a sign that terrorism is sprouting in Hong Kong. The region's leader is more reserved, calling for calm and promising to hear protesters out.
I, as the chief executive, will be responsible to rebuild Hong Kong's economy, to engage as widely as possible, to listen as attentively as possible to my people's grievances, and try to help Hong Kong to move on.
A major concern is the impact that 10 weeks of unrest is having on the economy. Hong Kong's GDP shrank 0.3% in the second quarter as the US-China trade war weighed on output. Major banks expect another contraction in the third quarter, putting the region in a technical recession, defined as 2 consecutive quarters of decline. Real estate transactions are down more than a third in the second quarter, and the stock market has lost more than $500 billion in value since the protests intensified in June.
I think we're beginning to see the serious impact now, and I think it will begin to show up in the GDP figures further down the line. I think we should be concerned about that.
Chief Executive Lam has promised what she calls bold measures to prop up the economy. But with no end in sight to demonstrations, any government stimulus may face serious delays. Paolo Montecillo, TRT World.
Well, let's get more on the Hong Kong protests now with Sean King in New York. He's a Senior Vice President of the business advisory firm Park Strategies. Welcome back to Money Talks, Sean. Now, Hong Kong's airport seems to be the new flashpoint for protesters, doesn't it? And wondering, what impact might this sit-in have on, I guess, businesses looking to operate in Hong Kong?
Major impact. I always stay at the airport when I'm in Hong Kong, so I can relate to the pictures I see on TV today, quite dramatic. 5% of Hong Kong's GDP is generated at the airport, and it's Asia's largest cargo airport. Also, anybody watching this who's thinking of a trip to Hong Kong is going to think twice or not go at all. So in terms of retail, tourism, travel, any kind of cargo shipments, companies thinking of having conferences or training sessions in Hong Kong, this is going to put people off the idea of going there. So short to medium term, it could have a very severe economic impact on the city.
Yeah, so given how crucial this airport is for tourism, for cargo, also for business, as you point out, are the protesters shifting their focus to this piece of infrastructure to really hit the government where it hurts?
Well, I think the protesters are playing a game of cat and mouse, this flash mob strategy they've used. They don't want to be arrested because they want to be able to keep the fight going. So they've been acting like water, as they say, to coin a phrase from Bruce Lee, and moving with the help of social media whenever the cops move in. But by going to the airport, it was a way to show to the world and greet travelers with the message of what's going on in Hong Kong. So this is part of a moving full court press by the protesters. Just because they're focused on the airport doesn't mean they're going to let up pressure on other parts of the city. But the airport is a pride and joy of Hong Kong, and it opened in 1998 to great fanfare. There are a lot of conferences and concerts held just at the airport itself. So I don't expect them to leave, and it's interesting to see how the Hong Kong police will move forward, because the city really is paralyzed.
Yes, now I'm wondering what sort of resolution might investors as well as businesses in and out of Hong Kong be looking for?
I think if you're a business or an investor, you would hope that the extradition bill that started all this is permanently removed, or even Carrie Lam resigns, and there's an official police inquiry meeting the protesters' demands. Maybe then the city will get back to some kind of normalcy. But I'm not even sure that will do it. I think this has brought forward an existential crisis for Hong Kong's future. Hong Kong was dying anyway because by the year 2047, it's just going to become another Chinese city, and people know that. But this has brought people out of the shadows. I didn't think Hong Kongers had it in them 20 years ago after the handover because democracy was never much of a concern. And to be fair, Britain never gave Hong Kongers true democracy when they had the chance. But they've really stood up for themselves, and I think this is going to go on for a while yet.